Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. This is actually one of many channels of mine. I don't know why I have so many channels. I guess I'm just branching out. I'm Dylan, hello, that's me, that is my name. Today I'm going to be talking about, I forgot the name, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. The first one was really fun. It was kind of like a mixture between Deadpool and Avengers if they had a really strange baby, because it was funny like Deadpool. It involves Star-Lord, Gamora, Groot, Nebula, Drax, Rockets. Oh, Rocket's awesome. So the main cast of the Guardians of the Galaxy, who are the Guardians? We've got Chris Pratt, Vin Diesel, Sean Gunn. Who's Sean Gunn? Yeah, that's Sean Gunn. Okay. Batista, Bradley Cooper. We've got all those guys. It is a colorful cast of characters. They're all different. They all have their own personalities. They make a lot of jokes. And it's just a ragtag team that form in the first Guardians movie. Number 2, they go off on their own mission. Number 3, they go off on their own mission. But the first movie was very Deadpool-esque, as in there was a lot of comedy and it was very funny, very funny. It was like Thor levels of funny. It's different to the regular lineup of jokes that they put into the Spider-Man movies and the Avengers movies. The first one was awesome. The second one I can't really remember much of, maybe because it didn't stand out much. But let me get onto the video, which is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So Volume 3, it involves Rocket. Rocket is the main character in this one. I know the first one was about everybody, kinda. The second one was all about Star-Lord. And Volume 3 is now well after the events of Endgame and Infinity War. And it's basically about Rocket slowly dying, and the team needs to get all sorts of shit to keep him alive. That's basically the whole thing. But I have a couple problems with this movie. The main thing is that it looks and feels cheap. And by cheap, as in the action scenes are really boring and the angles are really off. They look really lame. The CGI is some of the worst I've ever seen in Marvel movies, especially considering this is a 2023, and the CGI looks so bad. There are other characters that we will get to that they look horrible, and the set, there's this one spaceship, which I'm going to get to actually, that it just looks bad. It just looks so cheap. I don't know why. Why did they do all this? And I don't know. It just, the whole thing feels like they were just rushing to get this out. Boom, here's a movie which is 2 hours 30 minutes length, which I think 2.5 hours isn't a long time for what they gave us. But yeah, let's just start off on something. Man, I don't have structure for this, you can tell. So I'm going to start with the bad scenes in this entire movie, from the top to the bottom. And this is going to contain spoilers. So please don't watch the movie first, because it's shit. I'm going to put in screenshots, hopefully, of what I can find of this correct scenes, or I might try and explain it. Anyway, so Drax and a bunch of people are in an elevator, and it's one of those situations where it's like kind of rushing. People are like desperate for answers or whatever, like it is urgent. And then you see Drax eating loudly. It's not as funny as Drax's other situations. Gamora and Nebula growled at each other. It's almost like them nodding at each other, but then they growled. It's very strange. So at one point, the team was boarded by a group of people. Everyone was laughing at them, and there was this magic guy. He has the same powers as Doctor Strange. He has Doctor Strange powers. Doctor Strange conjured a laughing emoji. Why? Why would you do that? Is this a kids movie? Why did you conjure a laughing emoji? instead of him laughing like everyone else, like, oh yeah, because obviously he's supposed to not talk apparently, because they don't explain these guys. These are just random people that come and take over the ship or something. It's just dumb. That is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, ever, in any movie, and it is in 2023, and they put in a laughing emoji. Okay, so the Mantis bug lady, Mantis, I think is her name, Mantis, probably, just call her Mantis. So Mantis, they're in the middle of a fight scene, and Mantis has mind control powers, and she mind controls someone, and says, you are a cat, or you think you are a cat, and then the guy meowed. That's stupid. That is stupid. They come across an Earth called Counter Earth, basically just a bunch of anthropomorphic people. There's bat people, there's panda people, there's cat people. They actually show a panda person, and it's obviously, it looks like a furry suit. It doesn't look like a really high definition CGI panda human. No, you can obviously see that it is a person in a furry suit. And the bat people, they look like the fucking people in Whoville in The Grinch live action. It looks like that. It looks terrible. So the whole, okay, I'll get to that. Sorry, I'll get to that. So in Counter Earth, the Anthro people start attacking the Guardians by throwing rocks at them. But if you look where they're standing in the road. So there's nowhere that these rocks can come from. And they actually throw them, and you can obviously see all the little rocks that are just on the road that they throw at them. And it's so dumb. It's so stupid. Anyway. So there's a new animal mascot, because of course they need to sell merch. So there's a little animal, it's like a little creature. I can't see it right now. It's not in the poster. It's not the dog. There is a dog. There's another little creature. That's the new mascot. So this creature, of course, instead of just sitting there like, oh, he's a cute character. No, he pisses himself on the ship. Okay. So Gamora ends up on the enemy ship with a bunch of kids with like white hair, which I swear I've seen this scene before. Anyway, I'm just gonna ignore that all the kids look exactly the same. It kind of reminds me of something. I'll put my finger on it. But the villain appears, and then all the kids run away screaming, which is kind of weird because he was definitely amongst, there's like a lot of children, so which means that they are in the hallways leading into the room. The villain walked into the room in sight, which means that the kids saw him coming, and then he announced himself, and then the kids started screaming and running away. It's also a cliche that kids scream and run away from the villain, so that's already minus a couple points from the thing, you know. So these kids, by the way, Drax is there with Gamora and someone else. I think it's Drax, Gamora, and Mantis. Drax makes what I can only describe as duck noises, because he says, man, because he had a kid. This is in the first movie. It's not spoilers. His kid died long ago. He basically tells these children, my kid died, so I know what kids like. And then he made these funny noises and magically spoke their language. I know, not even gonna dive into that. And he somehow calmed them all down by making weird noises. And I can only describe them as weird duck noises. I don't want to describe it more accurately by listening to it again, because that means I have to listen to it again, and I don't want to, because it's horrible. So basically, to put a long story short, Gamora doesn't remember that her and Quill were a thing, but in other words, she's not the same Gamora, she's another Gamora, but Quill is still in love with her. Anyway, so Quill is in love with Gamora, and he's obviously trying to seduce her, and the movie is trying to give us moments where Gamora is busy falling in love with Quill, with Quill, and then Quill and Gamora land on top of each other, which is I think it is the most rom-com cliche thing in comics, in like webcomics, movies, books. When the woman falls on the man, or the man falls on the woman, and then they land on each other, and then they look up at each other. Oh, our faces are so close. Let's kiss right now. That's so cliche. Why put that in? It's stupid. It's so dumb. Anyway. Oh, man. It's so cliche. Everything's so cliche. So there are horror monsters. It's like a little horror section. And it's really horribly done because these people just run around in a circle. Well, there are three of them, so they run around in a triangle, and then they run, and then they see the monster, woo, and then they skid to a stop, and then they turn around, run to the next one, and then they halt to a stop, and then they return around. It's really dumb. And then, of course, Mantis has mind powers, and of course, she she actually approaches these monsters first, and then touches them like every other giant monster and a person calming them down. She touches the monster, and then, of course, because she has mind powers, they ride them for a split second, and then they never ride them ever again. What? Why? Why add that? There's so much useless crap in this movie. Okay. So the Mohawk guy, let me just get his name. Kraglin. Is that even him? Who's Kraglin? It is, okay, Kraglin. Yeah. So Kraglin, I'm going to call him Mohawk guy. I'm too lazy. So Mohawk guy, he took over the blue guy with the Mohawk's powers by being able to whistle and move around this little pen thing. And throughout the movie, he can't use it properly. And by throughout the movie, I mean 2 times, because they can't bother building any characters. So they show that he can't use this pen thing. And then he's like, I'm closing my eyes and I'm imagining my mentor, the blue head guy. The blue head guy. And now, suddenly, I believe hard in myself. And now I can do it perfectly. And then he kills a couple people, and then that's all that he does throughout the entire movie. Great. So, the dog, the space dog, what is even this guy's name? I don't even know what I'm going to call him the dog. So, the dog is in a spacesuit, and it has magical powers. The Force. Because it's the laziest thing to do is give someone force powers, so it gives the dog force powers, right? It holds a ship in some stage of the movie, and it actually crushes enemies in big boulders or something. And the dog is obviously overpowered, but they don't want to use it because it's too easy. So they just make it do 3 things in the whole movie, and then they leave it after that. So they also do a slow-mo walk with the whole team walking in slow motion. I understand that was their thing. They've always done slow-mo walks, but it's getting old when every single Marvel movie has a slow-mo walk. It's like, slow-mo walk. I actually wouldn't have included this if the new pet mascot didn't also have a shot. And he's not part of the gang. He just has a little moment in the slow-mo walk, which is stupid because, of course, look at the little animal. We want to sell merch, please. Look at the little animal, please. Thank you. Anyway. I didn't even mention the British guys. So there's gold people, and they're British. And then this British guy, he's evil. Long story. Okay. This British guy is evil. And he appears out of nowhere and screams and then falls over. That's it. Next scene. Why? Why include that? That is so stupid. Okay. How am I still recording? I am. Thank fuck. Okay. So, a Rocket has flashbacks. The raccoon guy, Rocket. He has flashbacks throughout the movie. When he was a kid, when he was younger, he made a little key card out of scraps on the ground because he's an inventor and he can. That's not even important, okay? It like switches back to him as an adult throughout the movie. And then he pulls out the key card, which means that he escaped whatever science lab he was created in with the key card and brought it on all of his adventures on him, on his person, because he went to prison before and somehow still kept the key card because he's been in a couple ships. I think those ships blew up at some stage because they have a new ship. In any case, so he didn't leave it on the ship. He kept that key card his entire life for him to free some baby raccoons in this one moment. He saved that key card his entire life for that moment. That's stupid. That is so stupid. That's dumb, dude. Okay. So Rocket, I didn't even mention the boss, the big boss of the entire movie, which is a man that has, oh, how do I describe this? It looks like he pulled his face over himself like Scarface, and then that is his face. That's basically, and then he of course has force powers like Darth Vader, because they're extremely lazy and can't think of anything, and that's the only thing that they can give people. I'll still get to that in a bit, the laziness and them giving them force powers. Getting to that. So Rocket beats this guy who is basically Darth Vader with the force powers, because he just stands there and lets Rocket shoot him. I'm not joking. He stands there, doesn't use his force powers. Rocket says, "Eat this, face man," or he says a one-liner, and then he shoots him, and then he flies back. That's so dumb. That's so stupid. Also, they take off this guy's face, and I'm not joking, it looks just like Two-Face from Batman. The Two-Face from the Batman Dark Knight series. That Two-Face, I'm going to put up his image. I don't know if I can find the villain without his face, but that's exactly what he looks like. He also has that really round eyeball, because he doesn't have eyelids because it's burned off. And he doesn't have lips on the side. Oh, the middle is fine. On the side, he doesn't have lips, and he shows his teeth. And he doesn't have a nose. I think so. Wait, let's just double check. He I don't know if he didn't have a nose or not, but he looked just like Two-Face, so they copied that. That's stupid. Also, there's an animal stampede when Rocket releases all of the test animals from the main villain ship. It looks way too much like every Noah's Ark moment when there's just a bunch of animals stampeding. It looks bad. Okay, it just looks bad. So Quill was supposed to freeze in space, but because they don't want to kill anybody anymore, the British Golden guy comes through. Now he's not evil, and he saves him. They copied the Michelangelo, The Creation of Adam scene. It is a very famous painting. They copied that. And I don't have a problem with that. It is a cool reference, but it's so obvious, man. And it only looks like that because Quill froze in space, and his hand was kind of out like Adam. And then the British guy comes in and does the point and touches his hand, because for some reason you would do that instead of instantly saving him. And then they make the shot like that, put like a ray of light in the back, shone it through. It's so unnecessary. Cool reference. I don't mind the reference itself, but it's unnecessary in this movie, along with all of the other crap that they do. And Gamora and Nebula growl at each other a second time, which is too many. And then they mention Rocket being the new leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm not going to spoil why, but you can kind of already tell what's going on in the movie that's coming like that. So now all of the Guardians bump their chests twice with their fists in almost a Attack on Titan, like what they do there, where they like put their fist on their chest and then they bump it twice. And then everyone does it right after each other, as if that's always a thing that they do, which they definitely don't do that ever. Also, Groot says, "I love you guys," which is not something Groot does. He says, "I'm Groot," and then everyone understands what he says. So I don't know why they did that. It's just stupid. And then to top the whole movie off, right at the end, there's a dance number. And I called it because there was music playing in the speakers, and I was watching it with my brother, and I said, they're going to end this on a dance number. Watch this. And then they do exactly that. Everyone dances. No dancing. Dancing is for Disney movies. And I understand Disney bought Marvel. This is Guardians of the Galaxy. And I understand. At the beginning of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, the Guardians of the Galaxy 1, he did dance, but that's Quill's character. Everyone shouldn't dance. That's stupid. Everything is stupid in this movie. Cool. And then the post-credit sequence, spoilers for the post-credit sequence. I'm just telling you right now, this is spoilers to the end of the movie. I tried to avoid spoilers until now. Okay. They revealed the new Guardians of the Galaxy, which is Groot, and he's fucking swole now. Rockets, Mohawk guy, the Golden guy, and then one of the children that they captured, she had a white suit and white hair. And they gave her Captain Marvel's powers, I think, because her hands were glowing. And I can only imagine that they were extremely lazy with this and just gave her glowing hands and didn't explain her power because they were running towards a new herd of villains that they were just killing at that moment. So, that is everything. Movie from top to bottom. All the scenes that annoyed me, I couldn't stop typing on my phone, man. People were just going in. That's just so dumb. Everything was so dumb. So the space station that they were at, I actually didn't mention this, but they were at a flesh space station, a space station made of organic matter. So the flesh space station looks ugly. Everything looks ugly. All of the inventions and tech in this place look terrible. Oh, they have, who's that guy? They have the guy, his face, him. I'm gonna put his name up. There's a good picture actually. Nathan Fillion, who's that guy? So they have the ugliest pieces of armor I've ever seen in movie history. This movie was in 2023, and this is the armor that they give these people. Terrible. It's terrible. When they go into this is still on the space station. They do the typical blood on the side of the mouth when you're injured trope, which is so old. Please, that's really, really, really old. Since I don't even know how early they started doing that, but it's so old. In 2023, you can't do that anymore, guys. Come on. The Anthro world I mentioned. Also, I just wanted to point out that there's a lot of screaming in this movie. People screaming at each other and people screaming when they think that someone is going to die. Mantis screams way too much at people almost dying. And there's so much screaming that it actually takes out the emotion of screaming, because screaming is like letting out a lot of anger that you've let up over time. So a really nice example of this in the same movie is a spoilers. Sorry about this. Again, spoilers for the movie. Just the general, like in the middle of the movie-ish. Okay. So Rocket screaming when his friends die. That is a very powerful example of him screaming, because he screams when it's very emotional. He's been building up that emotion his whole life because he's in there. And then one of them dies and then he screams. Totally fair. But when Nebula screams, every single time something bad happens, when it's like, oh no, he's busy dying, then she starts screaming, it's like, it's taking away from it. And everyone's screaming at each other. It's taking away from the emotion of that screaming is supposed to give. So, yeah, it feels forced. It's not good. Okay. The villain is very stupid and he's very typical of a villain. Like, you just can't feel sorry for him. He wants to be God, and he creates the Anthro world, and in hopes of recreating rockets and very smart species that want to invent. That's his whole goal. But he's very dictatorial. He shows his force a lot. I don't know if he kills anybody, but he's definitely just the typical evil guy who abuses everyone. He's in their face a lot. He touches people's faces. He's so typical. Again, it's so typical and so lazy. I don't like it. I think it's stupid. Let's see. The British gold people are high and mighty, and of course they're high and mighty and privileged, so they have to be British. Very typical. And again, typical fashion of the horrible main villain, the crew turns on him and he kills them all. Again, very typical. Just think of something else. So yeah, that is the end of all the negatives for now. But there are good scenes, like Drax throwing a ball into a child's face instead of just passing it to him gently. That is, I think that's really funny. And then this is all on the Anthro planet. And then Nebula opening the door, but she can't open it because she's never opened doors before, which I think is pretty insane because I know, yeah, you have very advanced technology, but you can't open a car door. Hilarious. But, and then I think Quill drives the car and then he drives it like his ass, which is, it's funny. I think it's pretty funny. You can't hate on me for laughing a little bit in the movie, okay? Oh, that's it. Okay, that's all the good scenes. Cool. Okay, so what do I think overall? So the story is kind of lazy. The overall story, like Rocket is dying, let's go out and find a cure and then come back. I understand. You're allowed to do that, but with everything else that this movie gives you, the whole movie just feels so lazy. I don't know. And Rocket's backstory was cool, but I don't know why he showed their friends when they were to just die. I think if they showed his friends and then everybody in the facility escaped and then they come back at the end, they're a little bit older, they have new tech, and then they save them and then they leave back on their adventures. I think that would have been better instead of them just dying. Holy crap, Rocket's story is even sadder. Oh, no, we know it's sad. We know it's very sad. It's been sad. It is sad. You don't have to make it sadder by killing everybody. Anyway, that's dumb. Also, Cosmo has a very little... Oh, Cosmo's the dog. I wrote him down here. Cosmo's the dog. He has very little impact on the story, but it's good because he's very annoying. So I'm actually happy that they didn't give him much to do. And I actually put in an I am Groot count. I put in the exact amount of times Groot said I am Groot, which is 12 times, and it's too little because he's awesome. And I think he should say I am Groot more, and he shouldn't say I love you guys. That's not what I am Groot is. That's not who Groot is, you know? Okay, so what do I rate this movie out of 10? The story was fine. You can do this with any genre and any movie and save one of your friends. They'll do anything to save him, so they will go on these goofy adventures to save your friend. That's fine. But the whole movie I felt was just so cheap and so lazy. All the lines is so typical of everybody, and there is character progression. I'm saying progression. There are character arcs that start ending and start progressing. Like Drax wants to be a dad more. Quinn is starting to get over Gamora, but they fall in love at the end anyway, because of course they do. It's just everything's so typical, man. Everything's so typical, and visually, the CGI is ass. It is so bad. The CGI, I've never seen anything so bad from Marvel, which has the biggest budgets on the planet, and it's 2023. Dude, they did better in 2000s. They did better than this, and you can so obviously tell that it's a horrible green screen. Anyway, listen, I give this movie a 4 out of 10 because they did this movie dirty. They seriously didn't have to make everything so goofy and so cheap. Everything looks so cheap. It's like someone took away all of the budget and then they just did what they could with it. You can tell that they put a lot of hard work into some of the CGI, but it stands out so much everywhere else, you know? So, unfortunately, and I'm predicting this now, they will make a reboot of the Guardians of the Galaxy with these new characters, and they might call it The Guardians. But officially, everyone is pretty much out of the cast. I'm saying out. They're not all dead. They all moved on. Like Quill moved back home. Drax is staying there to be a dad. Nebula's staying there to be a dad. Not a dad. Fuck, Nebula's a woman. Anyway, just make good movies, man. I don't know why Marvel has to do this. Maybe it's because they are Disney now. Disney just took them over and like, we need to make it as easy as possible. And it kind of reminds me of the music industry. The film industry is also taking a bit of a dip in terms of quality. Quality over quantity, that's what I think. But they want quantity over quality. They made a 2.5 hour movie that isn't very good. It feels very cheap. There's so much cliche. And it's just disappointing. But that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Did you enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy 3? You're allowed to. You're allowed to enjoy it. But from a critical standpoint, I think that there's a lot left to be desired. So, yeah. Thank you so much. If you want to hear more reviews in the future, please let me know. I will be reviewing good movies, not just terrible movies. I have The Incredibles coming up next. So if you like what you see, please subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Oh, that wasn't me.